some name. Okay. This time I'm going to keep the styles sheet away. I don't want to keep it in the document or HTML file itself. So I'm going to create a separate file. You can click new cascade style sheet file. You can go ahead and create my style. Some name you can give. Make sure it is put in the root of your HTML file. Of course, HTML file in this case is HTML or index.html, and I've kept my style sheet here. If you really want to keep, you can keep them, otherwise remove. So this is where I'm going to write entire style sheets. Just going to keep them away. The basic rule I added in the last exercise as well. I want to keep uh, margin set to 0 so that the blank space, or sorry, white space which was taking would be removed. And I also want to make sure all my semantic tags are treated as a box. So that's also I want to keep header, footer, article, sections. I really don't appreciate somebody talking while I take a session. If you really guys want to see my face while I take the session, it's really terrible, because as much as I'm friendly, that much I'm pretty strict. Okay, section, what exactly next? The figure, whatever. So this is to make sure to add a backward compatibility for the previous browser versions. Is the font readable there? The last bench? Last row? Could you read it? You want me to magnify still? Is that okay? Pardon me, because my throat is a bit infected, so as days progress my volume will increase, so few days please adjust, because I couldn't raise my eye. That's the reason I'm slightly watered down this session. I'm not taking the sound concept as of now. Okay, figure, maybe a sidebar, those things. So I want to make sure those things were treated as a block, nothing but the representation as a box. It's by default now respected, but maybe I'm coming from the previous batch where I found these things were making trouble, so I prefer to have them added. And I'm going to keep a class selector called container. Any name would be good, but container gives a sense stating that that is going to hold entire content. So that's the name I'm giving container. You can keep any name. So as usual, I'm going to go ahead with some pixels so we can finish it off. Height. Background. Some sort of light gray. Okay. The important point, we have to link this file to a main page. I would like to change the title to something different, like say my blog. Linking the file comes from the tag selector, maybe a DOM called link href. give the path of your style sheet. What is this guy showing? Okay, need to give a, see, it is saying some sort of warning. Element link missing one or more following attributes, item property kind of a relevance. For example, link is a very generic one. What kind of file it is linking, we have to make sure that's being defined as a style sheet. It's not mandatory though. So the moment I add this link, the style sheet would be imported. Actually, it's not imported; just being added to your document. And now it would be respected and it would be visible throughout your project. So still I hear somebody talking. Okay, it's good. I quickly write everything, so it's too tight. Some darker green. Give 200 pixels. Under 200, almost 600 left. Give some color. fast. Okay, fine. Header footer, I don't see much difference between them, but unless if you have a variable height, so it gives the same. Try some other hacks around. I'm trying to subclass them. By seeing, you may be getting a point what I'm trying. It's not reflecting. Yep. Go with the finishes. Sorry, these things should be very careful if you are giving a space between them. Maybe no, saying it, it's nothing but a subclassing, saying that one single tag, but you want to define in a different place with the different attribute values. Most of the part is common. In this case, header or footer going to contain the same width. It is common. But whereas the variable height is there, and of course, maybe the float also is common. I can keep that. So in this case, the header bar, very generic width and the float left orientation is there. Whereas the subclassing, the top bottom, for example, top, where if it is defined, it will have a 100 pixel height and the background something, a different one, whereas the bottom will have a different one. So in this case, I made the class header bar and taking the subclass value top and another one taking the value bottom. Okay, since it is a smaller one, I may go ahead and remove uh, the minimum height of the container. Now it's all settled. Okay, now we better add some contents. Then we'll think about giving further look and feel with a different orientation. So yeah, I picked something from Wikipedia, I remember. This time, whom we take? Abdul Kalam is the safest personality. We don't need to involve any politics here, so I prefer to go with him. I just need some contents, or just I'm googling something. I'm going to get it from it. This is going to be my title. Okay, we'll keep the title. The header is going to contain the title. Let me put in a H1 so that H1, H2, H3 different predefined size of a font. So I'm going to keep the title as if. It's not pretty cool. Plus point, the H1, say any common property I can define. Color of a font, I'd like to keep white. Okay. Remember, I defined in header bar, which is a kind of a parent class for the top and bottom. So anywhere if you define a font which will always contain uh, uh, the color of a font will always be in white here. So this make sure both the head and footer have a darker background so that the lighter text will appear. Before that, I need to verify whether the font is in the right and appropriate place. Maybe I would like to keep it in the rightmost direction. Okay. Give a text align. Text align will force. It will only work for a text, or sometimes it will also work for some other boxes as well. But let's see. Okay, this works. I put it into a top subclass so that only the top subclass will have the text align specified into a right direction. I'd like to keep a kind of a padding to the right so that the content slightly will be put inward, or maybe margin I can give. Okay, this padding will do. Yes. When you give a padding, should be very careful. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, there is a problem. I can add a few more. Need to reduce the width. Oh, that's going to be a troublemaking here. This is not going to work. So you will encounter such a situation here because you use a kind of scenario. The top and bottom is going to be a common parameter for a header bar. So if you keep a padding to the right 20, I may end up modifying the width of the header bar, which is 1000 pixel. If I reduce it, the header bar top subclass would work properly but may not be good for the bottom, the subclass, so which will also get affected. We'll see the scenario here. Maybe I'll reduce some 20 pixel in order to gain whatever we gain through a padding. We are going to subtract it. It works fine, but something messed up to the bottom. So we have to fix it. So you have to change your design pattern. Okay. I prefer to have some other box will take care of that load. I may go ahead and add some more class. Is there anything I remove? That's good. Title is a tag itself, so title bar I'll make it. Since it is title, I can give a margin. This reduces the burden. So that style attribute values, what I define in style, is exclusive for, it's a separate class, so it could be added to anywhere. I've added that to a H1. So the text align will always be in right direction. It will also have a margin right 20 pixels. So that makes sure the title went into the extreme right and some spacing also given, and we did not mess up anything to the header and the foot. Okay, that's good. Let us add some sort of copyright information. So let's see anything copyright.
it in the center.
Pardon?
Center of
Text align center also will go. Or if you want to make it as a box, see there are various ways to fix it. Yesterday it was a question as well. Text align center will work to, and of course when you make a center, don't keep the margins, which will mess up. So you can keep it to a center. Or if you do not want to use a text align, there is a couple of other fixes also available. So let me see that. You can keep it to a left back, very left or right. Instead of this one, I'm going to make this a variable, say a kind of minimum width, say some 100 pixel, and margin 0 auto. Width is slightly misleading. Increase a bit. This will also will put your text into center, but may not be exact center. But I use the same terminology. I treated the title bar as a box. To be a box, it need a fixed width, and I already use the margin 0 property in order to force my container center. The same terminology I've used to force the particular text into center. This is also alternate way. There are various ways to do it, but in such a case, your display property is a text. I would recommend use a text align instead of these other hacks around. To this right. Let me add some copyright information. The footer. Something. So in the footer we are putting a copyrights. We want to make sure that is extreme. Well, we keep it to the right because we already kept the text in the left. I mean extreme right. We will keep it in the left always, but we'll give some sort of padding or maybe some sort of alignment. So I'm going to say and keep it to the left. See, I haven't even declared it. So I need a div in this case, or I'll keep a h2. Perhaps it's too big. Margin left we should give because right no use. Okay, copyrights added. Now we have to add the contents. Let us bring the content along with the image. So yesterday we did it already. It's going to be an article. As we face the same issue, but let us put the image and then we'll think about fixing it. We have an image, I hope. So it is recommended to keep it under figure. Image. Since the image is too big, time to fix it to a height. I already told you keep at least either height or width. That's good. If it is not something so important, you can keep adding the style element to the HTML tag itself, but we want absolute separate. We want to keep everything separated. Like this kind of code separation will always be helpful if you want to keep your presentation and the CSS as a separate entity. So I may go ahead and add some other fixes to make it happen. So figure, in this case, figure I want to exclude, but anyway. I'm going to keep it float left. Okay, scheme. Reduce some more height. Now do you give a margin? That's where the real problem comes now. I want to give a padding space of 10 px. Now I need to make it 580. Oh, the content size has increased. Okay, no problem. Okay. Further reduce the image size to keep the content in the given space itself. Okay, this is looking good. Time to add the left navigation. I already added something we added. Ordered lists or unordered lists we can add. There is one more semantic tag called nav that's going to wrap the order or unordered list. Navigation, that's going to be some sort of navigation or menu exists. This is also a pseudo one, and of course nothing to do with your style sheet or whatever it is, but if you want to keep it, you can keep it. uh, okay, we keep unordered list. Say, add some meaningful links to Kalam. What happened to my internet? I just need some meaningful links. So again, these things will make it as links. Things he also stuff you don't want it. Looks nice, but we could further make it. We'll wrap it as a hrefs. It should be a link, but we do not have page yet. But we'll wrap it within the hyperlink. I need to do it for example, page. This is still a pseudo link because I do not have a page created for it, but I want to keep it as a link. How many computers engineers in this classroom? Computer IT background. Computer ID. Nobody. 3. So you should be familiar with this, right? Page creation, HTML, page designing stuffs. Sorry. I just asked my opinion. You guys are familiar with this? Is this something a wrong question I asked? Are you familiar with these HTML, CSS stuff, IT? But because I really don't know what is happening because I'm almost lost connection with academics. I did my engineering some 10 years before. I remember this. 12 years before. I came out of this engineering college 12 years back. So is it being a curriculum there to learn HTML stuffs, IT, software engineers? It's been there? No. Okay, no idea. So EC, I don't need to ask. So fine. Looks like a hyperlink, but still I want to do few more coloring, designing to make it much more look better. First point. Href. Href means the tag starts with the a name like A. So I'm going to write a tag selector for A. A link mean a link which yet to be visited, just a link. I have a couple of inner properties. Inner properties are defined using a kind of a colon kind of thing. So hover when mouse roll on the top of this particular hyperlink. Um, Maybe I have one more visited. Visited, I don't think it will work. Just like to say these are all the properties exist. One more is active. Link 1. I'm going to remove the text decoration to none. When I make it, it will lose the underlines. Hover mean when you just move through the text. So I'll make the color changing to a different one. Maybe some sort of bit gray so that I can sense it. If you notice, the colors are getting changed. However, mean when your mouse cursor is hovering on the top of the text, so the color could be changed because this selector with this particular definition only work when the cursor is moving on the top. Visited active, maybe a subclass type. We'll use them whenever needed, but in fact, this is what I don't want to write here. So these two is something would be better because nobody likes nowadays having a URL with underline. I've seen most of the site doesn't contain, so I also removed it. And I want to remove the bullet point as well, so that I want to further skin it. Okay, what is the way UL? List, can we give any space between? Okay. The UL I'm making the list style none, mean it will remove the bullets. It is not a it is still a list, but it is losing the style of a list because the default style of a list, it will unordered list will put a bullet points, ordered list will put a numbers. I just wanted to get rid of it, so I removed it. Okay. Each list boxes, because li is a class, I mean a tag selector. I want to give a margin. We can give a margin. Let me see if we can give a margin between them. Okay, some space has been added. Trying to make it look like a button. Okay, I think padding will add a inner spacing. Good. Looks as if a menu. I think the margin is hurting us a bit. So it's not margin then. Maybe padding. Good. Okay. ஸ்பைக் போர்ட் வேணும் இங்கே. ஏன்னா இங்கே ப்ளக் பாயிண்ட் போகிறது உள்ள கஷ்டமாக இருக்குது லேப்டாப்புக்கு. உள்ளே கீழே இறங்கி தான் போட வேண்டியிருக்கு. இங்கே ஒரு ஸ்பைக் இருந்தால் நான் கீழே உள்ளே போய் தான் நான் என்னோடய லேப்டாப் ஃபிக்ஸ் பண்ண வேண்டியது. நான் ஒயிட் நான் தான் வச்சுருக்கேன், இது எண்டு தான். அதை வச்சு தான் இங்கே மானிட்டர் கனெக்ட் ஆக வேண்டியது. ஸ்பைக் பஸ்டர் இருந்தால் எனக்கு கொஞ்சம் ஈஸியாக இருக்கும். Okay, I think we can further skin it a little bit. What's the serious discussion going on there? What's really a problem here? Because guys, until I shout, you guys won't realize things to be. Somebody has done their exercise, somebody has learned day by night, and somebody has worked on it, and he is sharing the experience here. And this company paying huge bullshit for this guy. So don't waste that. By discussing, if you have important affairs, yes, the doors are open, you can very well go out and discuss. Within the classroom, that too, when I take a session, please put an attention. I'm pretty flexible, but it doesn't mean take it for granted. You can simply discuss, take it for granted, and simply go out without taking permission. Once I get hurted, I will make everything is an impossible thing, and now of course I will start scrutinizing everything. So don't disturb the environment what we are doing right now. So I'm pretty in a good mood, so please don't spoil that. Okay, that's a hover sub option also, because list itself can be when the user cursor moves on the top of the list, we can keep the background different. Maybe another darker background. Try to bring. This is in fact much cooler. Can we do something? Contrast color for a lighter background, a darker text color will look much better. I think it's not looking too good. Okay, the color for list is not, the text is actually not in the list. Text is actually inside the hyperlink, so this is not taking effect. Hyperlink color we are set to white. I want to make it black. Okay. Contrast color. Something. Okay. Maybe we can add some more margin to it. Looks pretty clean. So we have a navigations to the left and the right the content we have. Maybe here we'll think about keeping something else. We'll think about it. Now we have slightly extended our feature. Like now we know how to add the style sheet externally, and we are using subclass property also here because we saw something common between certain tags, but varies with the background color or text color, so that we kept it as a subclass. And we also notice the link and hover property of an hyperlink and along with the list. So we carry a small transition as the particular menu item moves on the top. And we also modified the behavior of a list. We removed the intent spacing because the padding something which was taking. We also removed the dot something bullet points, and we also removed the hyperlink text decoration. The text decoration is responsible to put the underline for an hyperlink. Those things we have removed now. So this is how we can make use of them, and of course the content is there for you, and maybe this bar we may use it for a little bit. uh, I'll also introduce one more thing, maybe border radius I'll introduce, because let me see if I can order title bar, container, header, CSS bar. Border radius will add a small curvy feature to your DOM. It was very difficult those days when we do not have, we didn't have that particular support, because the cross-platform compatibility issues, or maybe sometime IE won't respect that. Now it's been added as maybe some 15 pixel radius I'm going to add. Let us see what kind of difference I'm going to see in the left bar. You notice it's slightly curved on the edges. The edge is slightly curved here, but may not be looking much proper as of now. Maybe instead of adding this to this guy, I'll do one thing. I'll add it to a list so that it will look much proper. Looks, these buttons are slightly curved. 15 is looking too much. Maybe make it to 10. So I can still reduce it. Make it to 5. Looks fine. So we can give us some sort of the edges with a small curvy feature so that it looks more professional, not the flat surfaces. So a slight curve we can give. Not only to that, I want to give the curve to the boxes as well, so that it doesn't touch us the edges. Let me see if I can further do some sort of designing here. Header with some sort of header and footer with a radius. I prefer to have some sort of margin also given, so that that radius would get visible. Add a margin. I'm going to face trouble now. Good. There's something wrong at the width perspective. Something has gone terribly wrong. So radius has taken additional space, sorry, margin has taken additional space to the left, right, top and bottom. We don't need to worry about the top and bottom because it is a kind of vertical alignment. We are not worried about the variable size of a height, but we need to fix the width, which is slightly adjusted because of the additional margin. So I need to reduce left and right some 10 pixel. I need to reduce 990 pixels. Okay, that's good. Further, I would like to add all the margin for all the additional boxes. Left bar with the same margin stuff. So looks fine. Center alone you need to fix. A kind of margin which looks things are separated as boxes, kind of a fancy look and feel we have added. Anyway, our DOMs are separated, a kind of a margin added between the content, and each content boxes in turn has a small padding between them. Things are looking pretty cool, and maybe I can add some left bar. This is to pull down the menu which is touching on the top. Maybe I need to slightly adjust YT. Okay, it's much clean. That's it. So a border radius if you are using, make sure the boxes are separated. At least we could see that. So I wanted to show that border radius. That's the reason I slightly disassociated the boxes which is touching each other before, but adding additional element and which involve additional calculation to adjust the width and effective width and height of the DOMs, and of course I mathematically handled them. I adjusted those sizes so that the symmetry is kept and your layout remains as expected. So remember, this is high school HTML. Now high school students are doing this, and it's pity that we are learning now only. But this is not where we are going to end. Of course, we have few more things, and of course we are going to dig through an additional concept like how I'm going to handle the variable width and height when the screen size either gets retracted or expanded. And one more thing, if the content get expanded, for example, if I add additional contents, let me add more content here. An article, I'm going to keep them as sections. So the first section which we have just covered. Within the article, I am trying to say there are a couple of sections exist, and one more section I'm going to add. you notice the content size increased, but whereas these two guys did not adjust. You may have a fancy requirement, somebody stating that when a content size increase, the left and right bar also should automatically adjust the size to fit or fill the space. Any kind of requirement may come, but a typical CSS cannot handle it. There we may need additional one which is called JavaScript to dynamically handle the width and height. That's what I was talking about. Manipulating DOM may be required as something goes out of control when a content is dynamically updated. So those things also we will face some sort of situation where I need to handle the size of a DOM and height of a DOM or something which is getting changed according to the content size. There we are going to see the JavaScript, the power of JavaScript, and JavaScript will take over when your DOM is fully loaded. Of course, a DOM or document object model fully loaded on the browser, and then JavaScript will take control and measure the width and height and accordingly remodify the style sheet attributes whatever been specified. So those scenarios we are going to see. Of course, those things comes under the advanced section. That's no high school students are doing right now. So of course that part will make ourselves feel as if we are professionals. But as of now, make sure you exercise these things. Make sure you get these layouts. Remember, I rushed it slightly faster today. In fact, CSS, there are millions of, not millions of course, thousands of attribute value specification as defined by WebKit or Mozilla or some other consortium. They keep adding various definitions. Learning everything and understanding everything is beyond to the scope of this training program. So most commonly used thing only I have used today. Mostly like margin padding, text decoration, text align, or box type, or maybe something today I saw some inner properties such as the active and hover properties. Those things we have seen. So maybe that is an additional part, but using these things you can create more professional websites. So you don't need to learn everything, but at least have an idea how things been perceived. And of course, whenever a requirement is set, the requirement should make the pattern, not the pattern should force the requirement. You may not be understanding what I'm trying to talk today, but as you get experienced, the most popular saying is you should control the technology, not the technology around. The rules and the regulation given by a technology, it may tell you something is possible, something is not possible. But the requirement, the client who does not read the capabilities of the technology, simply go ahead and say this is what I want. And as a professional, you should pick the right tools to achieve your requirement. Those things will come through the experience, of course you will gain it. But anyway, as of now, please make sure you get this layout done. And you already have your NetBeans, and of course I'm going to push the source code to the website. Keep it as a reference. Make sure you achieve the same look and feel, but justify whatever I have done here, because I have adjusted the width and height, renumbered some values, why I did this, try to keep it with the different numbers, what is happening, troubleshoot it, everything. Okay. Anyway, I've already taken your break time. You can go for a break now. Meanwhile, I'll upload the source code.